In this video, I'm going to share with you the secret to selling coaching without chasing, convincing, or constantly pitching so you can make loads of sales in an AI-saturated market and without crazy hyped-up claims. Bruce Krahn here, 8-figure online business owner and author of Build Offers That Sell. I help online health professionals and performance coaches turn underperforming offers into high-performing AI-proof assets. So over the past decade or so of writing health, fitness, supplement, and coaching offers, I've watched something really devastating happen slowly, then all at once. The claims got bigger, the copy got louder, the promises got more dramatic. And because the market was getting more competitive, the only strategy most marketers knew was to shout louder than the next person. Lose 30 pounds in 30 days. Triple your income in 90 days. The one weird trick doctors don't want you to know about. We've all heard these things. I watched that world from the inside, and I watched what happened next. The market went deaf. Not overnight, gradually. The way trust always erodes, slowly, then completely. Buyers had seen the promises. They had paid for the promises, and the promises had not delivered. So they stopped believing them. And here's the thing that changed pretty much everything for me. I tested a completely different approach. So instead of making bigger claims, I made more accurate ones. Instead of shouting louder, I explained more clearly. Instead of promising dramatic outcomes, I named the real problem behind why people were stuck. And this outperformed everything I had tested before, and by a significant margin. And that was the beginning of what I now call the silent offer system. And in this video, I'm going to show you what it is, why it works, and why the coaches who build one right now are going to pull away from the market over the next 12 months. So I'm the offer doctor. My job is not to motivate you or give you another framework to add to the pile of work you already have. My job is to diagnose what's actually wrong with your offer and show you what fixing it looks like. And today I want to introduce you to the most important shift I have ever made in how I think about selling. Because the way most coaches are currently trying to sell is actively working against them. And most of them don't even know it yet. So 20 years ago, when I was writing direct response copy for a supplement company, loud marketing worked, and it worked really well. Not because buyers were naive, but because the market was less crowded. The promises were new, and buyers hadn't yet accumulated a history of disappointments. Urgency created action. Scarcity triggered decisions. Big claims created excitement. The formula worked, so everybody copied it, which is exactly how it stopped working. As more marketers used these same tactics, buyers then adapted. They learned to recognize the patterns. The countdown timers, the limited spots, the dramatic transformations, the before and after photos. What once felt like excitement started feeling like manipulation. And when something feels like manipulation, the defense instantly goes up. You stop listening, you scroll past, you close the tab. And this is what I watched happen in the supplement industry and the coaching industry. Is at exactly that same inflection point right now. Your buyers are not less informed than they were 5 years ago. They are more informed, more skeptical, more experienced with disappointment, and they are largely immune to the tactics that used to move them to action. Louder is not the answer anymore. Clearer is. So let me be precise about what a silent offer means, because it's not what most people assume. Silent does not mean passive. It does not mean invisible, and it does not mean do less and hope. Silent means quiet in pressure, not quiet in precision. A silent offer earns attention instead of demanding it. It attracts the right buyer instead of chasing everyone. It creates trust before it asks for a decision. And it's built on one foundational principle that I have seen outperform every other approach I've tested in 2 decades of direct response marketing. The fastest way to earn trust is to solve a real problem in real time. Not promise to solve it, not show proof that you've solved it for others. Solve it now for the person in this interaction. When someone experiences genuine clarity because of you, before they have paid for your main program, before they've committed to anything, something remarkable happens. selling becomes optional. The invitation to continue stops feeling like a pitch. It feels like the logical next step. And that is the silent part. The offer doesn't need to shout because the experience has already done the selling. Now, here is the pattern I see constantly with coaching businesses that are underperforming today. The coach has a complete program, a signature methodology, a full transformation package, and priced. So it's a whole complete thing. And then they lead with the entirety of it immediately. That's the first interaction. So here's the program, here's what it includes, here is the price, here is a button. And I want you to think about what that feels like from the buyer's side. They don't know you yet. They haven't experienced your thinking. They haven't felt what it's like to work with you. And you are asking them to commit financially and emotionally to a months-long relationship. You see, that is an enormous ask for someone who has been burned before. And the answer, most of the time, is hesitation or a polite no. Or the most common response in coaching sales, let me think about it. Not because your program isn't good, it's because trust hasn't been built yet. And you skip the step that builds it. The silent offer system puts that step back in. It creates a structured pathway where the buyer experiences your expertise before they commit to your program, and where that experience does the selling naturally, without pressure, without tactics, and without you ever having to chase. The full framework for how that pathway is built, what it consists of, how each component works, and how to implement it into your specific business is in my book and walks through it in detail. And the first thing your buyer encounters on that pathway, before your explainer video, before your offer document, before any conversation, is what I call a signal asset. A signal asset is the thing that establishes your authority at a distance. A named diagnostic tool, a book, a proprietary framework that only you teach. Something that speaks precision to your ideal client's exact problem in a way that makes them stop and think, this person understands my situation in a way nobody else has. And in a market where everyone can sound knowledgeable, a signal asset separates expertise from generated noise. It doesn't chase, it attracts. It filters out the wrong buyers, pulls in the right ones, already warm, already trusting, already leaning towards yes, before you said a single word in a sales conversation. That's the quiet power of the silent offer. And the signal asset is where it all begins. But the shift I want you to make right now today is this. Stop leading with your complete solution. Start leading with your most valuable insight. Let the buyer experience what you see that others don't. Let them feel the clarity that comes from working with someone who actually diagnoses rather than just prescribes. That experience, more than any sales page, any testimonial, any urgency tactic, is what turns a skeptical prospect into a committed client. Now, I need to address something directly because I know it's on your mind. AI has changed the market. There's no point in pretending otherwise. Buyers can get information faster and more cheaply than ever before. Business strategies, content plans, marketing frameworks, all of it available from a chatbot in 2 minutes for free. Which means any offer built primarily on information delivery is now competing with something faster, cheaper, and available around the clock. That is not a fight worth having. But here is what AI genuinely cannot do. It cannot sit with your specific client in their specific situation, with their specific history of attempts, failures, and say with earned authority, here is exactly what has been working against you. Here is why the things you tried didn't fully work. And here is why my approach addresses what everything else didn't. That requires pattern recognition built from real experience. It requires the ability to hear when someone is not saying. It requires judgment that only comes from having seen this problem play out across dozens of real clients in real situations. That is what a silent offer is built on. And that is what AI cannot replicate. In a noisy AI-saturated market, the coaches who win are not going to be the ones with the most content, the biggest following, or the loudest claims. They're going to be the ones whose offers make their ideal client feel something AI cannot produce. The feeling of being precisely understood by someone with the experience to do something about it. That is not a small distinction. That is the entire game right now. Now let me tell you what coaches consistently report when they shift to this model, because the results are worth naming clearly. Sales conversations change. Instead of spending the first 20 minutes explaining and persuading, you are picking up a conversation that has already started. The buyer arrives knowing how you think, having already experienced something of value, already leaning toward yes. Conversion rates improve, not because you have gotten better at sales, but because you are no longer asking someone to take a leap of faith. You are inviting them to continue a journey they've already begun. The quality of clients changes. When you filter through a paid entry point, the people who show up are serious. They have already invested. They already respect your process. They show up differently and they get better results because of it. And perhaps most importantly, the experience of selling changes. It stops feeling like you are convincing people and starts feeling like you are serving them. That shift alone is worth the entire investment of building this system. I want to leave you with the most important thing I learned from those years writing direct response copy. The marketers who shouted loudest did not win for long. They won a sale, sometimes many sales, and then the market adapted, tuned them out, and moved on. The ones who built lasting businesses, the ones still operating a decade later with loyal clients and genuine authority, were the ones who took a different approach. They stopped trying to overcome skepticism with louder persuasion. They earned trust by actually solving the problem in the room, in real time, without holding back. And that trust compounded in a way that no amount of clever copy ever could. That is what the silent offer system is built on. Not a tactic, not a funnel hack. It's a return to the most fundamental principle in business. Earn the relationship before you ask for the sale. The coaches who build this kind of offer right now are going to pull away significantly over the next 12 months. Not because they're working harder, because they are building something the market just cannot ignore and AI simply cannot replace. And you can become one of them. I explain all this in my book, Build Offers That Sell. In the book, I walk you through the complete system, every component and how they connect, and exactly how to build one inside your specific coaching business. You can think of it as it's a methodology built from 2 decades of direct response marketing experience, refined through working with coaches and online business owners across every niche. If you are ready to stop chasing buyers and start attracting them, click the link below to get your copy. And in the next video, I'm going to introduce you to the diagnostic tool I use to find exactly what's broken in any coaching offer, usually within the first hour of looking at it. It's called the offer autopsy, and it will change the way you see your own business. I'll see you there.